All right, Billy, actually, Allegretto, if you would be so kind to, you know, whatever you can kind of meta if you want to, it's fine, but you can just kind of share some information about yourself, your character, more on the visual scapes and stuff like that.
I'm a human. My teeth are a little messed up. I got like 12 cousins. No. Um,
Fuck you, Billy. No one likes you.
that's my main character trait. Okay.
Yeah.
I would probably keep up the facade with Tej a little bit longer, but then he'd eventually introduce himself, kind
Hmm.
of make sure with the group, like, I guess he's this far in, we trust him. Okay. And then I would transform back into his regular self. When Al transforms, it's kind of a, I can't remember if I say burning paper or magma.
Burning paper, yeah. It's like when you
Yeah,
see like edges of paper catch and then
so just bottom up, um, Al kind of burns away like burning paper and turns into a completely different person. Um, he's a 5'9" male tiefling. Um, he has a decent beard. He looks like he's in his, I think, his early 40s.
late 30s, early 40s at this point, yeah.
Okay. Um, his horns are getting a little crazy. They've started branching off, but they're still sharp in the kind of demonic realm. He has long black hair. He tries to wear as much black as he can, but they're different shades of black, so he's trying to fix that. Um, he's carrying way too much stuff. He's a little bit of a thin stature. He's got a lute. He's got a crossbow, a rapier. He's got a buckler on his left arm. He's got way too much stuff that he just likes to hoard. Um,
You have a very distinct necklace now.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
um, on a string around his neck, there is a what looks to be a kobold claw. It's a bit mummified. He's got a good kind of metal gothic aesthetic. He's got like a skull ring and a spider ring. There's a lot of spider emblems, insignia on his equipment, a little bit of jewelry. Uh, I think it was my boots have like a kraken
Yeah, octopus
carved into the
kraken
metal.
looking things on the toes. Yeah. Like the steel
Yeah.
toe boots. Yeah.
Mhm. And something you can notice about Al almost immediately, even though he's wearing medium armor, it's scale mail and usually makes a lot of clinking noise. You don't ever hear him walk. It's very quiet.
It's unsettling.
Hmm. And just for class stuff, he is a Valor Bard. No, tweaked because of materia version. But yeah, so he's a kind of a bard that tries to attack with his martial prowess as well as with magic and as well as inspiring casting spells. So he's just kind of this literal jack of all trades. He actually has a feature called Jack of all trades.
Hmm.
So
I'm
um,
proficient in every skill, but only to a small degree.
yeah, that is
But
Al.
definitely master of none. I gotta stress
Mm.
that.
No, I mean that you. It's a
Oh,
feel free to look at their sheets. He's got some
Yeah.
really funny proficiencies.
I do take that back. I am master of persuasion and stealth, but I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah,
Nope.
yeah, yeah. Actually, since we did stealth team, I'll go ahead and skip the normal order and Marb. If Al, are you done? Anything else you wanted to add?
That's everything I can think of. Necklace was
Perfect.
a good. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. Not that it's no, actually, I won't tell you because that'll be beyond. The only other thing that he forgot to mention is the art doesn't cover it. The art is actually not completely accurate at this point in time. His eyes, as you're looking at his real eyes, they are yellow, like beautiful yellow, but they are like, you know how Chronicles of Riddick, they're like marble polished eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
His are yellow marble polished eyes. So there's like almost
Interesting.
no pupil or anything in there.
So does that
Very
mean?
Uh,
striking.
So Al,
I
did
wrote
you
down.
entirely drop your disguise and you're old looking Al now? You're not the young looking Al anymore. Oh,
Yes,
okay. Just making sure.
because I'm assuming we've been walking for like 20 minutes.
yeah,
It's
you've
like,
just
well,
been weaving and
he knows all y'all's faces.
Yeah, true.
You didn't even notice my real face.
That's true.
Okay. I will say, just for the sake of it, actually no, Al is a one deceptive motherfucker. I can't just let you use your passive perception.
Do
Yeah,
I
never
count?
mind.
Do I count roll something?
Mm, if you want to keep him kind of aloof to what your true form is, you can give me a deception check, and then says you can drew a insight check to try to ascertain. Like when he says, "Oh, by the way, this is actually me." Oh, you can't even beat him. Like his passive is
Yeah, no.
already.
Yeah, his passive
Yeah,
perception is.
yeah.
Oh
Even
wow!
without
Even
his
though he rolls
bonuses.
terribly, still.
Yeah.
Wait, did
So
he have disadvantage?
no,
The
no,
first
no,
one's
no.
the one time. He
This
The
just.
first
first roll.
one.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Whew.
yeah.
Okay.
And he's actually pretty insightful. It's just you're
Yeah,
just that
I'm
much more.
very insightful actually.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Al. If you never actually tell him what your true form is, he still doesn't know. Like he's like, "Oh, okay, so that's you." But wait, that's you. Oh, but that's you. Oh, okay. Oh. Like Donnie, you know his true form, but I don't know if Sej ever really catches on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make sure before we leave the sewer, I'll transform one more time.
And it's not like I'm gonna try to investigate at any point unless I feel like I have to, and I'm not
Yeah.
gonna feel like I have to in
Yeah.
most case, I think. So
Yeah. So
hey,
here we go.
with time, right?
With time comes trust, hopefully.
Yeah.
All right. Jumping over to Marb, because we said stealth crew. Nico, if you would be so kind.
Sweet. So, Marb is a very average-looking Kenku, pretty short, all black. You can see like his dick sticking out of his cowl, but he's definitely covering himself up with like a kind of ranger's cloak. So like the hood, I pretty much brought up all the way so you can't see like the face wrapped around, but you can definitely tell like there's definitely like leather straps or like I mean, definitely like a quiver and a bow in my back, sticking out, and just like a few straps, everything. But pretty much everything's covered. Can't see my face, but you can like, I don't know, like tell like I'm like staring at you, like not sizing you up, but like kind of like analyzing like how fast can he murder me or how fast can I murder him. And can you feel like a little disturbed? Like I'm looking at you, like definitely finding ways to like possibly murder you in the future. But pretty reserved. Uh, maybe a little bit at the edge all the time, but you can see like he's definitely like mission oriented, at least for now.
Yeah. I guess you would see other things on him. Just weapon of choice is obviously this longbow that he keeps on him. However, he does have almost like a Slavic razor style short sword. Amongst him, because you are so perceptive, you even under his cloak, you would see that he has many little pockets just on different straps and around his waist and all that. But yeah, as he said, very average looking. He is as non-memorable looking of a Kenku as you've ever seen. He just looks super average.
I think I still have all my stuff packed, and I think I'm still holding the bag of holding because we're in
Yes, right.
disguise. But yeah, you can definitely tell there's like a lot of pockets or like straps that maybe should be full or like look worn like they were like full. But yeah, I forgot about that. I like put all my stuff in the bag of holding, so
Yeah.
pretty bad right
But
now.
you were, as you were kind of like, getting ready because the mob was coming, I'm sure you pulled out some of it and everything.
A few daggers, yeah, and darts and all that.
Yeah. He very much, he is basically, just for mechanical speaking, he is the ranger. He is like basically, he's a hunter, ranger. He's kind of like an urban bounty hunter, kind of, if you were to imagine.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. I guess we'll jump to the next closest thing to stealth crew, Dregnar, if you would be so kind.
Okay, so like Adam said earlier, Dregnar is dressed head to toe in dark grays and black. No, has a nice cowl that comes up over his head. He is a hill dwarf, but one thing you'll notice is his mannerisms and the way he speaks and the way he interacts is not like any dwarf you have ever seen before. It's like he's a dwarf, but he's wasn't with dwarves when he was being brought up. His head is completely shaved, and Adam alluded to this but didn't give it enough credit. He has a magnificent black beard with little hints of gray, with silver, gold, green, and red wooden and metal toggles that come down into like 6 different strands.
Interesting.
He has the only armor you see on him is a small oval shield, slightly bigger than a buckler. Every once in a while, you will see a dagger drop out of his sleeve and into his hand, but you notice it's attached to a cable. And every once in a while, he'll twirl it and he'll put it back in. He has a brutal scar across the bridge of his nose underneath both of his eyes. You can also, when he moves around, you can see hints of tattoos on his skull. But other than that, you really don't see any distinguishing marks. You will notice that every once in a while he'll mutter sayings underneath his breath. And if you want to roll or whatever, I can tell you a couple of them. It doesn't really matter. He seems to move really quick. And he's always like, he'll constantly move to the front, he'll move to the back, like he's able to move faster than everybody else around him. Out of game, just for context, he is a totem bearer barbarian and way of the shadow monk.
Wow. That's a cool combination.
He's about 200 pounds and about 4'5", dark brown eyes. And like I said, he seems weirded out. But earlier, whenever there was a possibility of a fight, you would have saw a glint in his eye because he likes to fight.
Okay.
No, and yeah, actually, you did pretty much cover everything. I guess I'm trying to think if there's anything you missing, but yeah,
You will see a bandolier across my chest that has throwing stars, and
yeah.
then there is also a vial that looks like it has smoke kind of whirling around inside of it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Definitely sizing him up. He is probably the most physically enduring out of the group, just based off what he is. I mean, he can take a beating.
Sorry. There's also a necklace around my neck that you will see. It's a gold chain, and it has a red heart on it.
Yeah. True. Cool. That's Dragnar.
Cool.
I guess we'll jump to Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo. Let's do Rock.
I'm Rock. Kind of a younger turtle. About 5'8". What do we say, like 350, 400 pounds?
Yeah.
Turtles are hefty with the shell and everything on them. My shell has weird kind of runes and markings on it now. That I guess would seem normal to you because you haven't seen anything else, but they definitely stand out. I carry a staff with me that's got a little frog on top of it. I generally have a kind of a cool looking cloak, like a gray blue cloak with me that I generally wear as well. And my shell has just knickknacks and things attached to it everywhere. There's a flower pot. And it's, to anybody but me, it's disorganized completely. It makes no sense at all. But to me, everything's where it should be and easily accessible. And yeah, I got a little piece of coral around my neck. I think I got a dagger with me, and I carry a spell book, or I carry a book. And I got my little oxpecker friend that you met slightly earlier.
And you have a staff with a frog on it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's basically me. And I do carry our bag of holding, which you would probably notice on me as well. I don't know if you would recognize it as such, but I just basically have everything with me.
So he is, like, as literally he kind of carries his house on his back. kind of
Yeah, I
everything's
see
there.
that even on the artwork. It's awesome.
He is, just mechanically speaking, he's probably the one that you were maybe the most familiar with because you were kind of looking at classes. He is the level 1 knowledge domain, level 7 divination wizard. So mostly a wizard with a little bit of knowledge flair. Very much a fun concept. Does a good job with it.
That's cool.
Basically, very hard to keep knowledge away from this guy. That's what you'll learn. He figures things out. Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think if there's anything super distinct. You already mentioned the shell. That's his shell is something that is just, someone described it very well. It's like henna in like this in the style kind of, but it is more on the arcane symbol side, and it looks like it was long ago just like burnt and like scarred into his shell. And it's almost like on every single plate of his shell, and like each plate itself is a design, but the whole as it comes together is another design all in itself. But most of the top of it's covered. Actually, most of it's just covered because of the cloak and the knickknacks and everything on his back. Well, that's Rock. And I guess now, last but not least, is Davis.
Friend.
Actually, well, yes, but you actually would almost not even recognize me because I have so much more shit on right now.
Yeah.
Including a helmet that mostly obscures my face. So.
Oh, okay. I was considering mostly shoulder.
Yeah, and plus just, you could see, bits of gray skin coming through. So I guess I'll just say, if we had the helmet off, you would see, a very typical half-orc face, looks about in his, now mid-30s. Typical orc features with the kind of somewhat of an underbite and half-orc features with a somewhat of an underbite and little prominent tusk-like teeth on the bottom. And he has kind of also yellowy eyes, similar to Allegretto, although, just on the irises, not part of the pupils. Bit of weathered skin. Seems like he's been, spent his fair share of time outdoors. Kind of scraggly, not quite shoulder length, a little bit unkempt hair that would sort of drip out from underneath the helmet that I am going to be now wearing. Also have some, comically large pauldrons with these kind of sea creature-looking skulls on them. And also some protection down my arm. I've got a whole breastplate and whole, splint armor get up on now, including there's one embellishment. I've got a big belt with, a anchor in the middle that's kind of like a seafoam green sort of color. Underneath that kind of splint armor skirt, there's just, kind of typical pants that then go down into some boots that have kind of steel toes on them with a little bit of fur lining creaking out the top. And these cool little kind of skull knee pads that I've got as well. And then another big piece that you hadn't seen before, and you may have been curious where I was keeping it, is this giant glaive, which is as tall as I am, that I have, and it's got this cool kind of, almost has a bit of a shimmer to it down the shaft of it that looks like the starry sky, kind of. And if you look at it long enough, you may see almost like lines kind of connecting each of them. The blade itself also has some ornate designs on it as well. Let's see, what else do I have? I also have a bit of a small necklace as well on with a little soldier trinket on it. I also do have actually a rather large bow on my back as well, and a quiver with some arrows in it. And then just kind of a pack with a bunch of other stuff. I'm trying to think if there's any other obvious stuff.
You pretty much covered everything. The big thing about his armor, it stands out as it's two separate types of armor put together. His pauldrons, his belt, and his leggings kind of go together, and then his chest piece is more of a hexagonal style samurai armor.
Yeah, it doesn't quite fit my style, but it it fits physically just fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
So,
the last thing, and I was gonna say, if you, what's your passive perception? It's pretty good, isn't it?
17.
17, yeah.
You would have noticed when I was like sweating and stuff. You might have noticed little bits of steam coming. Like at first, it might have just seemed like, oh, he's just like sweating so much it's like steaming. But like no, it was like coming out of my ears and mouth a little bit. I was just so hot. Or you assume it's just because I'm so hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So that's the physical appearance side. Yeah. Mechanically speaking, I am not a class that you heard of before. It's a custom class that Adam built and that we're sort of tweaking and playtesting now, just called a warlord. The idea is that you're kind of a martial, sort of somewhat of a frontliner, but also a bit of a kind of a supporty, but also damage. It's a little bit of a hybrid, not just pure damage, but also can bolster allies as well in lots of different ways. One feature that might mechanically will be a little bit interesting is I have what are they called, these command styles, and I can kind of switch them around as we rest and stuff. Which, it's new to everybody here, so you may see me like pasting stuff through here, and I'll say like, oh, when we roll initiative, like this stuff happens, or when, I do this, this stuff happens. So, I don't want to, should I go? I don't think I'm going to go too much more into the details. We'll learn as we
No,
go.
you're good. Yeah,
That's
he's
fantastic.
basically, yeah. So, yeah, that is the current menagerie. And then now that you've got to meet them, you did give us a description earlier. If you would
I
like
have
to.
a longer one that I wrote, actually.
Nice.
I am a medium to large stature, and I definitely stand out as a Loxodon and proud. I don't try to hide it, unless I'm intentionally trying to be sneaky. But even that proves to be pretty difficult. So I have grown in golden adornments on, say, like my tusks, and they are unbroken. I have golden earrings on each of my 3 golden earrings on each of my floppy ears. About 6'7", normal gray, but I have a slight hint of purple, which is pretty uncommon. But something that my particular sect of Loxodon kind of clergy is something that is a trait of higher up. I'm basically an affluent member of basically a religion that's pretty popular in a distant land. I have 4 fingers each hand. Normal Loxodon hooves. Normal Loxodons are about 7 to 8 feet tall, so I'm understandably a lot smaller. I'm more of a runt. However, my eyes are as soft as like the morning sun, and you get like they have like soft blue eyes, which is pretty strange as well. But it's the kind of eyes that could pierce you with like absolute understanding. So he's like just a very eloquent, seems kind of delicate, but doesn't seem scared. He doesn't have any scars or anything like being in battle could produce. Not too bulbous or stomachy or anything like that. Wearing robes with, like Adam said earlier, with adornments of just sun. Like the sun is the theme in everything that he does. He's wearing somewhat of like a toga. It's kind of just flowy robes.
Is that part of the religion, like the sun?
Yeah, so there is one of the 12, I think Adam
11,
mentioned
yeah.
is 11. There you go.
Yeah. So
Is a part of the light, but in a distant land, we know him as another name.
So, I guess DM to players, the closest thing is there's one of the deities that's called the Everlight. Because and Pantheon doesn't really have a. She's kind of like the neutral. They are the neutral good deity. It's probably the closest thing that represents who his sect would follow. Anyways, but that's for y'all guys to truly discover as characters if it becomes some point of interest.
Yeah. There's a bit more backstory that I'll get into with actual conversation that's just more fun, but the lowdown, and he's confident in his stature, basically. He knows his place in society, even though he's not anywhere where that would have any pull. Trusts the fate and where the sun just brings him to an overbearing way. His overarching mission, like, there's more to it, but just to out of character give some insight, he has family in his homeland, and the estate is headed by somebody who is about to pass, and he is kind of trading good deeds and bringing the word of the sun to distant lands by just getting influence and telling them that, like, they know me is the only thing that I seek, because I have another family member that is out doing the same thing, and I'm trying to head my specific influence circle of said religion. So I'm just very devout and trying to be the better man and, like, take my family's by the reins, even though I'm technically a runt. Was born a runt, so I'm trying to prove myself. But I have
Cool.
full faith in where the light brings me, so I just kind of wander.
You and Rock will get along in that way.
I know.
Yeah. That was something I didn't want to like share when he was kind of giving me the concept. I was like, oh, I got two rocks now, basically.
Yeah, but it's like Rock's
Bro.
gonna be like, "Hey, a flower." That's other gonna be like, "Hey, a sunbeam."
Hey, the sun
But they're in opposite
Hey.
directions.
No, even better. Hey, a flower. Hey, the sun is shining on the flower. It's a holy flower.
Oh my God! The
So
new church of the
until-
sunflower.
Yeah.
Until you we had that chat, I am very accustomed to having strange religions, so I didn't really think anything bad about the markings or anything until you're like, don't trust these guys, and then they started being like angry this
Dicks.
day. So it's like, okay, this isn't a real good religion. Okay.
Yeah. So awesome. So mechanically speaking, we won't go too much into it, but hey, you guys have a cleric again. Woohoo!
We have
he
our old
is...
cleric here too, just by the way.
Oh, hey, Angie. Yeah, I saw him kind of messaging. So Luxodon, light domain cleric. Very different than a war domain. So it should be pretty fun. Little character tweaks that he did about himself is he focused on like his intuition, his memory, as well as bolstering, his ability to concentrate on spells and stuff. But seems pretty solid. Seems pretty fun. Rolled pretty damn well on stats and HP. So
Yeah, it looks good.
The sun god that the name replacement is basically Surya, the light that touches everything.
that's what you said, yeah. Very cool. All right.
Nice.
Cool. So if anyone has any questions for anyone, let me know. Otherwise, we can pause this and then we can decide if we want to play a little bit more. It is 1 in the morning. I would completely understand if this is a perfect stopping point for everybody.